Hi everyone, welcome back to another video on my channel. I'm super excited to be here with you today to share frequency and to share energy and codes of awakening with you. Ooh, so excited. I want to start off by expressing a little bit of light language and then I'm just going to channel from there. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. Discikandi surgia shasira ki rekit sumki ashi surosa kia shataki sitiki taka. The sudik isan shria monaka sishri and seori galakiti sitike. Was yalaka shiti is an akia walaka triki sikishkua. Laria sianasia josum rikian dizerikianda. Torsia sirikia sirikian yakata sikitik omborakitik ashidiki. The Sierra Carasic is Sitic de la Carasic il the Copoteka Shitikiambo. The As Shirantike Asunia the Kishik, Walakia Sundia, Lea Shaseki Shataki and Duan the Kitty Shikiti. Lea Shitiki is the Alapo the India la Koshiki Modica Ashia. So that was how I wanted to start this video because I wanted to just start with a pattern interrupt and start with pure frequency. Everything is frequency and energy, obviously. However, we do get caught up with our mind where we've already associated meaning to a lot of things in this life. So when you're using light language or you're listening to light language or even just music and sounds and nature, you are able to understand and intuit meaning beyond the mind because you're using more of your senses. You're using more of your soul body to interpret the feeling and the information that is coming through, to discern and to know what is being communicated. It is so natural for us to be in that energy when we're children, and when we're in a heightened state of joy and play. But of course, as we all know, being on the earth plane and being human, we tend to get pulled away from that throughout our life. So starting off with a little pattern interrupt for you. Starting off with a little pattern interrupt is always like one of my favorite things when I'm working with clients because it just helps shift energy right off the bat. And it helps activate to allow for extrasensory perceptions to come online where it's kind of like, oh, what is this? Like I need to actually sit back, understand in a new way, new and old at the same time, because light language and frequency translation is so known to the soul. And it's one of my favorite things. So I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you felt, if you felt anything, or what translation came through for you, if there were any messages when you were listening to that, because it's so fun to get a sense of like how each being is interpreting the frequencies or what comes through, what is being felt and known through the transmission. So let me know down below. I would love to hear that and hear your experience. So, all right. For the rest of this video, I really want to talk about the quantum hologram and what this means for us in our life and as powerful, potent creators. Now, we are on an ascension journey. We are awakening to our soul's light in and through human form, which is also accompanied by a direct connection to God source, all there is, and feeling that creative communion with source, with God, and with all other expressions of God all the other fractals, all the beautiful humans and animals and interdimensional beings that we get to connect with, the plants, the rocks, all the different kingdoms of creatures and expressions of divinity that are here for us to interact with. It's so fun. Like, it's a miracle, right? Even just like foundationally, this whole thing is a miracle. It's beautiful and wonderful. And when we become more consciously aware through this process, through the ascension process, the spiritual awakening, we are able to leverage our energy because we're remembering what we're doing here. And that also comes along with the whole dance of what it feels like to activate this energy in and through form, because it can feel very trippy when you're awakening to that light. That light, it's coming on in and through. You are connecting in, and your heart light is starting to shine more and more and more, and you're clarifying all your energy centers. You're on your healing journey too when you start waking up. Because when you're feeling that heightened state of connection, and then when you move away from it or you experience things that aren't in that energy, there's a gap of frequency where it's like, oh, I know that this feeling state is possible for me, but I'm here again, or fell back to this frequency, or I dropped back into this frequency. And when we're in those places, those are the experiences that we get to have to clean up that vibration, because we're remembering that we are powerful creators. So if we don't want to experience that, we can attune our frequency to emanate outwards from us holographically to align with more of this heightened state of consciousness that once you feel it, it's like, that's where I want to go. So if that's where you want to go, you're on the right channel. You're on the right path. You are perfectly on time and in time. So welcome. If you don't already know, my name is Kaley, and I'm the energy behind A Divine Dream. I do my best to be a crystalline heart light channel and ascension guide for anyone who feels called on this path and journey. And for me, that's all about sovereignty, direct connection, and awakening soul light in and through form, and then living in that energy, playing in that energy, creating in that energy, and experiencing everything in and through that energy and that connection, because it feels so good. As humans, we can create anything, and we can experience so many different frequencies on the scale of the depths of distortion to the heights of what is possible for us, and the things that we haven't even touched into yet. Some have, we see the Ascended Masters, and Yeshua, Jesus, and beautiful frequencies and beings who have come through and embodied that energy and have shown us, have left behind breadcrumbs, light crumbs, a light trail of what is possible for us to experience in this life. So that is kind of in a nutshell, the ascension process, at least in the way that I'm talking about it. Create your own way of thinking and feeling about this too. And then if it matches, like, that's great. If not, that's great too, because that is the sovereignty piece. We are each being invited into the process of discerning and connecting directly to feel for what those definitions are for us. And vibrationally, on higher levels of consciousness, it's felt, it's known. We don't have to communicate it or put labels to it, because it is known and it is felt. It is encoded in the frequency. So that's the fun part when we get into the heightened states of consciousness, where you're in that unity frequency. It's felt, it's known, communication increases. And it's funny too, because it's just a different state of being where you're picking up on more information. Back to holographic consciousness though, and the holographic aspects of reality creation. So when we are awakening, we start to notice how life is a mirror. It's a mirrored reflection. And you know the saying, when you're pointing a finger of blame, you've got 3 fingers pointing back at you. So whenever you're saying, oh, this person did this to me, or this person is triggering me, you have to look at yourself, because there is something within you that is vibrationally resonant with that experience, but perhaps not always in the way that you expect it to be. And that's part of the inner work journey that everyone gets to go on. Yay! Gets to go on when you are in this process of consciously developing and opening yourself up to more of this, so that you can live successfully and you can release suffering. Because we can. It doesn't mean that you won't experience pain and that you won't ever experience suffering, but we get to transform it. We get to lean into it. We get to remember how to use that to our advantage as creators, to know, okay, this pain, this suffering, this experience that's coming into my field is a vibrational match to something within me. Because holographically, that is what you are projecting out. That is what is coming through. There's this song that you are singing, and that is matching that frequency to some degree. Now that can be really challenging when there's experiences that we have that we don't want to claim that we've created. I'm going to tell you, you don't really have to, at first. We don't really have to at first, because if you don't know you're creating, it's okay. That's like anything that's happened in your past up to a certain point. When you remember and when you know that you are creating, that is your point of power, where from there moving forward, you get to use these tools that you continually will develop into to transform your vibrational patterns into geometries that you are more excited to experience. You are creating a foundation of consciousness that I like to call your heaven on earth foundation. Because we do have the ability to attune ourselves to that holographic expression of reality that is more heavenly. It is that heaven on earth foundation consciousness where everything is more peaceful, everything is more joyful, where you're kind of like resting on the frequency of neutrality, and you have built into experiencing more of these upward trending vibrations, these more harmonic vibrations that are closer to enlightenment, joy, peace, happiness, more of those vibrational states of being, rather than, I feel like I need to post a picture of the scale of consciousness. If you guys have seen that, you probably have if you're watching this. If not, I might put it here for a second, but it's basically a scale of consciousness where neutrality is in the middle, and below that you have the vibrational expressions of grief and hatred and jealousy and contentment, that kind of stuff. And we all know what that feels like. We know what it feels like to be in kind of a crunchy, oh, this doesn't feel good, right, kind of energy. So when we're awakening, we get to leverage this knowledge to redirect our creation so that we are aligned with more of what we want to experience. So when we're looking at using a hologram as a reference for our understanding of how our consciousness functions, the hologram is like an image. If you're familiar with this, it is an image that in every little bit of information is the information of the whole. So that is what we are carrying with us always, and we are always connected to all of this. The fun part about this is that based off your frequency, you are attuning to how things are being represented in your experience. Do you ever wonder why, when you're interacting with somebody, maybe they show up differently to you versus how they show up to somebody else? Have you ever wondered how when you're in a good mood, like people tend to like brighten up around you, or vice versa, when you're in a bad mood, somebody maybe they don't have a good experience with you? It's because they're reacting, they are showing up, condensing in reality based off of your frequency. It's kind of like we are a symphony of music, and we have all these different songs like playing at the same time, where based on the music that you are expressing, the geometries, the light codes, the information that you are impressing out from within the core of your being, that is how reality is dancing with you. You are the one activating the music that reality is dancing to. And that's kind of a fun way to look at it, because it brings you back to this energy and remembrance of, okay, I am the core emanating frequency preceding everything I experience. Now, if you don't know this, again, like, it's okay. We go in and out of remembering, especially once you do wake up. Like, you're going to be in and out of remembering here and there. You'll lose consciousness again. And when I say that, I'm obviously you're not passing out. I mean, like, you don't remember again. You get caught up in the dream. But we are conscious creators here, and we are here to stabilize in this energy of aware co-creation through the process of what this feels like. So when you start noticing that reality really is responding to your energy, that's when things start to get really fun. And you start to feel like, okay, like I get to tend to this. I get to play with this. And I encourage you to look at it that way as well. You know, design it however you want to, but here we're all about fun, we're all about play, but we're also about that alchemical self-accountability and self-responsibility of, okay, if I am the core emanating frequency that is condensing my experience, and this isn't from like a really like an ego place of like I am God and I am the one, like it's like you are, but again, from a holographic perspective, you are a part of the whole, and within you is everything, and vice versa. So it's really a beautiful surrender into this remembrance of how beautiful this is, not from an egotistical, like power tripping, I gotta control this kind of thing. It's more of like, okay, like I'm going to take responsibility for my frequency and do my best and play with this, because I know I am fully supported. I know I'm fully loved by the divine and by God source, all there is, holy love, holy light, crystalline Christ light, Christ consciousness, divinity, pour through us, and open our hearts to allow us to know the fullness of who we are and what we can be in this life. And there's a little prayer for you. But it's so magical awakening to these concepts and playing with them. So again, that's my encouragement for you, is to play with this. It doesn't have to be so serious. There are certain things to be serious too in life, but for the most part, when that's not going on, when you've kind of cleaned up your vibration and you're experiencing more like heaven on earth foundational realities, and that's your experience, this is where we get to be a little bit more fine-tuned, and you notice things that are more subtle rather than needing to have like the giant pattern interrupt that you didn't expect. Now, I'm not saying those things won't happen still, but even if they do, you can sit back and consider, okay, what is this showing me in my creation? What does this represent to me in my consciousness? Because it wouldn't be showing up if it wasn't for my highest and greatest good, and it wouldn't be showing up if it wasn't something for me to utilize to my advantage. Now, when I talk about heaven on earth foundational realities, there is a certain level of your belief systems and how you think about reality that are either going to support you in embodying on the ascension path, or they are going to hinder your experience. Reflect on any part of you that feels like it is still attached to needing to suffer, that there is still some benefit there for you. Then there might be. I don't know what your path is specifically. I know mine is here to embody that fullness. And so that is the consciousness that I will always do my best to speak from. But when it comes to the individual's perspectives on what you're here to experience, it's very unique. So I speak in generalities, but the information can be helpful from that place because we can apply higher concepts to all areas of our lives to deeply consider, hey, like, why am I creating what I'm creating? And how can I create what I want to experience? And that is the better question. So when we start talking about how to shift energy and we start going into the inner work, a really big part of that is, where is your focus? Because you might think that you're focusing in a way that benefits you, but it actually still isn't. A good example of this is like, you want there to be sun. You want it to be a sunny day. Like maybe you have an event coming up, but the way that you're focusing on it isn't beneficial, because instead of saying, I want it to be sunny, I want it to be so beautiful out that day, instead of doing that, you're doing this. Oh, I really hope it doesn't rain. I hope it's not cloudy. I hope it's not shitty out. I hope it's not that blah, blah, blah. Instead of being more focused on the other aspect of it where you are clear on what you want. So that is something, I feel like I've talked about this a little bit before, but when you identify what you don't want, do your best as soon as you can to focus on what it is that you do want with clarity. So I don't want it to be, cloudy. I don't want it to rain. Shift the focus. I do want it to be sunny. I want it to be really beautiful out. I want it to be warm and, whatever. And I'm just using this weather example just to talk about what that can show up like in the way that you're thinking. Because even if you're like, oh, I know that I don't want that, blah, blah, blah. You're still feeding into it. You're still mentally, vibrationally focusing on that. So it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger in your vibrational field. It's kind of like when you look at creating neural pathways in your brain, you are literally carving out frequency pathways in your energy field and in your brain by the way that you're thinking about things. And that's a very practical way to start even playing with the ascension energy, is like, you got to get your mind on the same team as you, right? You want to get your mind in a place where it is supporting you and you have a foundational energy running in the background that says, I'm loving, I support myself. That there is an app called Think Up, which I personally use, and it is one where you can record your own voice. And I'm sure there's other ones like this, but where you record your own voice speaking affirmations and you can just listen to them on a loop. And affirmations, I know they get like a lot of flack, but they have helped me so much. And I swear by them, like they are so good. But you have to make ones that feel good for you, because if you feel resistance to the affirmations that you're creating, like, no, it's not going to work. Like you're not even aligned with it. So when you're talking in a loop or you're listening to these looping thoughts that are in your own voice, your own encoded frequency, which is really powerful, you can re-entrain your brain to that being a more like carved out neural pathway for your mind to rest in, rather than the, if you do have a mind that's not for you, where you're thinking terrible thoughts about yourself or others, and it's just like, this isn't helping me. And, it's pouring and activating chemicals in through your body that are causing stress, that are activating, down regulating genes. Like, no, we're not here for this. We're here for the alignment, the support, the love, the joy, the heaven on earth realities, and the divine dream that this is, and we get to create in it. So I highly recommend that. Now, the part 2 with affirmations is you want it to feel good for you. And you also, when you're using the Think Up app, or if you're using an app that where you can record your voice, you'll hear where you either believe in the affirmation or you don't, because it's going to show up in your voice. So it's a really great feedback loop for yourself to navigate your own awareness and where you're at on your journey of like love and support of self, because the ascension process really is a self-development process. It is a self-love path of acceptance and direct connection. So it's, nobody can do this for you. Like, I can sit here and talk on this video, and I might be reminding you of things vibrationally. Maybe I'm speaking things in a way that lands with you that hasn't landed before, or maybe I'm just confusing you and you're like, what is going on? I'm just going to keep watching though. But either way, good patterns are up. Good for sticking this long. But I can be a mirrored reflection of your divinity and your light, your consciousness, but I cannot get inside of you and do that work for you. What I can do is I do these soul light activations, which are transmissions for light language and sound healing and vibrational frequency to help align you with your soul's highest light and embodiment. And I absolutely love doing these. So if you're interested in that, it's kind of like a pattern interrupt to activate and remind you of your soul's light frequency. And it's like a song from your soul. And it's just, they're so beautiful and they're so fun. So if you are into light language, frequency, sound healing, energy healing, and you feel excited about that, because I'm excited about it, like, I'll leave a link down below and you can take a look at that. I also do segue into what I offer. I also do, so that could be like a one-on-one thing if you choose to do that. And then I also do an email version of it that is a little bit less doll hairs. So it's you'll get an email with an audio file of a light language transmission, and I'll pull a card for you as well. So it's a really light and fun pattern interrupt and frequency transmission to support you wherever you're at on your journey. And then I also have a longer extended way to work with me where we do a soul light activation session, and then we follow up with 3 calls after that to anchor in that frequency that has opened up. So this is really great for people who like remember and they know that they're like, they're on this path, they've been on their ascension path, they've been opening up their extrasensory perceptions, and they are ready to anchor into more sovereignty, to have a more clear sense of how to activate and access that energy, and then also anchor that energy of their soul's light expression in and through form. And that is my signature coaching offer right now. So those are the 3 things that I have to for you to work with me one-on-one. So I'll leave the links below. Yeah, super excited about that. And yeah, so see, now I got off track. Yeah, that's okay though. Is there anything else that wanted to come through? You are so radiant. You are so beautiful, and you are so loved. I don't know who needed to hear that, but you are. And you came here for such beautiful things. And I know the world may seem very polarizing, because it is, right? It is. But we get to create into more of this energy for ourselves. And it is an experiment, a living experiment of a process that all of humanity is being invited into. And I'm so excited to be here, and I hope that I can help you on your journey through this. And I'm just going to continue to share content, and I will continue to develop myself through this process as well, so that I can be the best that I can be for you guys, because this is what I'm here for. I'm here to share this heart light frequency. I'm here to activate and support and assist, to anchor in all of the joy, the love, and the codes. So thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your night, day, whatever, whenever you're watching this. But all right, thank you so much, everybody. Have a beautiful, beautiful day, time. Have a good life. Bye.